1,283. Wonderful. The rocket. Have we got liftoff? Goes to the mid-session interval.
The Crucible Theatre in Sheffield witnessed a seismic shift in snooker's balance of power as Ali Carter delivered what may prove to be the defining blow to Ronnie O'Sullivan's historic career. The seven-time world champion, returning from a self-imposed exile to address mental health concerns, found himself outmaneuvered by his long-time adversary in a first-round clash that exceeded all expectations for drama and significance. O'Sullivan hadn't competed since January's Championship League, where he snapped his cue in frustration after 4 losses in 5 matches. His subsequent withdrawal from the Masters, Welsh Open, and Grand Prix tournaments raised serious questions about his readiness for the World Championship. "I was scared to go near a snooker table," O'Sullivan admitted to BBC Sport. "I've lost my bottle." These startling revelations came from a player who has dominated the sport for 3 decades, now facing unprecedented psychological barriers. Despite these challenges, O'Sullivan arrived at the Crucible seeking an unprecedented 8th world title to break his tie with Stephen Hendry. His first session back revealed both flashes of brilliance and uncharacteristic vulnerability. After exchanging the opening 2 frames with Carter, O'Sullivan compiled a break of 107 in the 4th frame, his 1,283rd career century and 208th at the Crucible. The match followed a familiar pattern of O'Sullivan dominance early, with the rocket building a 5-2 lead. An 85 break in the 7th frame appeared to signal his return to form. Yet crucially, he missed a straightforward red to the middle pocket when positioned for another century, a rare error from snooker's most complete potter. Carter, who had battled through 2 qualifying rounds while nursing a neck injury that nearly forced his withdrawal, capitalised ruthlessly. "Ali seemed to have the bit between his teeth," said 2024 champion Kyron Wilson. "That will feel massive going in at 5-4 rather than 6-3, with O'Sullivan leading 46-5 in the 9th frame and seemingly destined for a 6-3 overnight advantage. He jawed a long red to the top corner. Carter, demonstrating the tactical acumen that has made him a 2-time world finalist, methodically erased the 51-point deficit before nervelessly clearing the colours. This single miss and Carter's flawless response shifted the psychological momentum entirely. 6-time champion Steve Davis said, "Ronnie will know he does not want to beat himself up too much if he is missing from distance. But perhaps he knows this is uncharted territory." The O'Sullivan-Carter dynamic represents one of snooker's most compelling narratives. Their professional head-to-head stands at 20-1 in O'Sullivan's favour, but the lone Carter victory came in their most infamous encounter, the 2018 World Championship, where they shoulder-barged at the table and exchanged heated words. The animosity reached new heights after this year's Masters final, where Carter accused O'Sullivan of outrageous behaviour for snotting all over the floor. O'Sullivan's response was typically incendiary. O'Sullivan said, "He needs to sort his fucking life out. Playing snooker against someone like that is a nightmare." Remarkably, their Crucible meeting began with a conciliatory handshake. Stephen Hendry said, "They actually shook hands at the chair, not the normal fist bump that Ronnie gives. It was actually quite a warm handshake." While the O'Sullivan-Carter duel dominated attention, other first-round matches produced significant storylines. Judd Trump established a 6-3 lead over Zhou Yuelong, highlighted by a break of 117. Ding Junhai survived a scare against Zach Surety, who became the first Crucible debutant to make 4-century breaks in his opening match. Shaun Murphy raced to a 7-2 advantage against Daniel Wells, with both players recording 2 centuries. Zhang Anda led Pang Junxu 5-3 in an all-Chinese encounter. O'Sullivan's pre-tournament comments revealed the depth of his struggles. "To come here is an achievement in itself for me." This from a player who has made the Crucible his personal stage for 3 decades. Carter, meanwhile, had dismissed questions about facing O'Sullivan with a terse no comment before the draw. His actions at the table spoke louder, the final 2 frames of the session demonstrating the steely determination that has defined his career. The session's key metrics are O'Sullivan pot success, 89%, Carter pot success, 86%, highest breaks, 107 for both players, safety shot, success, O'Sullivan 82%, Carter 79%.
Wow. We're all kind of, wowed by John, aren't we?
Listen, that was free of charge tonight. As a snooker player or a snooker fan, you would pay good money to watch that, because I don't think there's anyone that can... Lionel Messi could probably make the game look that easy. You know, listen, because John doesn't get... He's like, you know, very clinical, this and that. As a snooker player, and I was saying before, you cannot play snooker any better than that. I mean, and that's... I was saying to Alan, we haven't even talked about his safety game, which is better than anyone that there's ever been. But just his cue ball control, the shots he was playing, it was just unbelievable snooker.
Well, it was incredible, actually, to watch, wasn't it? 6 frames in a row. Yan Bingtao 2-0 up. I mean, I think we got to have a word on Yan Bingtao, because it was quite a devastating defeat. You could see how much he admires John, even just seeing them.
Ronnie O'Sullivan has made a definitive statement about snooker's greatest all-round player just days before the 2025 World Snooker Championship. The 7-time world champion, who is chasing a record-breaking 8th title at this year's tournament, named fellow legend John Higgins as the most complete player the game has ever seen. O'Sullivan faces a difficult opening match against Ali Carter at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. The pair have a storied history, including their infamous Bargegate incident during the 2018 World Championship. Meanwhile, Higgins begins his campaign against Joe O'Connor, entering the tournament with confidence after his dramatic comeback victory over Mark Selby in the Tour Championship final earlier this month. John was probably the best all-round player that's ever played the game. Yeah, without a doubt, O'Sullivan told TNT Sports during a pre-tournament interview. His praise was comprehensive. Technically unbelievable, break-building fantastic, safety, probably been no one better. Bottle, tons of it. The Rocket's admiration for his longtime rival comes despite their contrasting styles. O'Sullivan believes Higgins's cautious approach may have cost him additional titles. O'Sullivan said, "My only thing, if you're going to criticise someone, I just think he wasn't aggressive enough. I think he would have won a lot more if he had just been more aggressive." Higgins, known as the Wizard of Wishaw, has claimed 4 world championships during his illustrious career, with his most recent Crucible triumph coming in 2011. The 49-year-old Scot has built his success on near-perfect safety play and tactical mastery, qualities O'Sullivan acknowledges as unparalleled. "But I don't think John is built like that," O'Sullivan continued. "I think his mindset is, I just want to shut up shop, and he can keep you out for hours and hours." This defensive mentality contrasts sharply with O'Sullivan's own philosophy. Whereas if I'm playing well, I think, I don't care if I miss, because I'm going to put so much pressure on them. Eventually, they're just going to crack, and I'll just keep going. The 2001 World Championship final between these two icons remains one of the sport's defining moments, with O'Sullivan prevailing 18-14 in a match that showcased both players' extraordinary talents. Reflecting on their differing approaches, O'Sullivan suggested Higgins could have benefited from more attacking advice earlier in his career. "I just think, if I was in John's corner, I'd say, push the boat out a little bit, put more fear into your opponent," O'Sullivan explained. He drew a parallel with his own development. "The thing when I got Ray Reardon, I needed that. And it's the opposite with John. He should have had someone like Stephen Hendry going, 'You know what, John? You don't need to play safe. You don't need to be that good in that department. Just go for a few more.'" Hendry, the 7-time world champion whose record O'Sullivan is attempting to break, recently shared his thoughts on the Rockets' chances this year. Hendry said, "It would be a big ask, but winning the 8th would probably be the greatest achievement the game has ever seen." O'Sullivan's participation had been in doubt following his cue-snapping incident in January. and subsequent admission of stage fright concerns. However, the 49-year-old has confirmed his attendance through an official statement and has reunited with sports psychiatrist Steve Peters, who played a crucial role in 4 of his previous world title victories of 2012, 2013, 2020 and 2022. Hendry remains confident in O'Sullivan's preparation. What sort of state is his game in? I would suggest he'd be pretty sharp. He would have been working his nuts off. If he is playing, he's got a plan and is going to try to win the 8th. Regarding the Carter matchup, Hendry added, "They've got to sit really close to each other. The last time they sat that close together, there was the old barge gate. There is no love lost between the two of them." Higgins arrives in Sheffield following his impressive Tour Championship performance, where he overcame a deficit to defeat Selby 10-7 in the final. This victory demonstrated his enduring class and competitive spirit, qualities that have defined his 30-year professional career. O'Sullivan's analysis of Higgins's game highlights the Scot's remarkable consistency across all aspects of snooker. Few players in history have matched Higgins's ability to combine break-building prowess with tactical acumen and mental resilience under pressure. His 4 world titles of 1998, 2007, 2009 and 2011 place him among the sport's elite, while his record of 31 ranking titles trails only O'Sullivan and Hendry. The 2025 World Championship presents significant milestones for both players. O'Sullivan could surpass Hendry's modern-era record of 7 world titles, while Higgins aims to become the oldest champion since Ray Reardon in 1978. Their longevity at the highest level remains unprecedented in professional snooker. Defending champion Kyron Wilson begins the tournament against Lei Peifan on Saturday morning, but much attention will focus on O'Sullivan's first-round match against Carter on Tuesday. The pair's history adds intrigue to their encounter, with Carter having defeated O'Sullivan in 2 previous World Championship meetings of 2008 and 2012.
Well, Mark Selby seemed to have taken full control of this final. From 5-1 down to lead 8-5. Higgins tonight couldn't make a 30 break to that point.
62.
But he's dug deep into these vast reservoirs of experience, and he now needs this pink barring snookers for victory. The whole week has come down to this moment. He won't celebrate yet. He wants the extra red. We may see a little celebration if this goes in though.
The 2024 Tour Championship final in Manchester witnessed one of the most dramatic comebacks in snooker history as John Higgins overturned an 8-5 deficit against Mark Selby to claim a 10-8 victory. Before we start the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Breakmasters for more snooker updates. The match, played on Sunday, April 7th, saw both players produce 8-century breaks, equaling the record for a best-of-19 frame match in a contest that swung violently between the 2 four-time world champions. Higgins began the afternoon session in blistering form, compiling breaks of 102 and 102 to establish an early 5-1 lead. The Scot looked in complete control, adding a 94 to his tally as Selby struggled to find rhythm. However, the final 2 frames before the interval saw the momentum shift dramatically. Selby responded with consecutive centuries of his own, 112 and 136, to reduce the deficit to 5-3. The evening session saw Selby continue his remarkable resurgence. The Leicester player won 5 of the first 6 frames after the interval, including a 119 break in the 13th frame that put him 8-5 ahead. At this stage, Selby had scored 767 points to Higgins's 66 during this 7-frame winning streak, leaving the Scotsman visibly shell-shocked. To be 5-1 in front against Mark and then 8-5 behind, he was just shutting me out totally, Higgins admitted after the match. What followed was one of the most extraordinary fightbacks in recent snooker history. Higgins, showing the resilience that has defined his 31-year professional career, reeled off 5 consecutive frames to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. The turnaround began with a 110 break in the 14th frame, followed by crucial contributions of 67 and 84 as he leveled the match at 8-8. The decisive moment came in the 18th frame, when Higgins produced a tournament-ending 132 clearance to complete his remarkable comeback. This marked his 8th century of the match, matching the record for a best-of-19 contest and securing the £150,000 top prize, along with an additional £10,000 for the highest break of the tournament, a 144 made in his semi-final against Barry Hawkins. Selby, who had been on the verge of claiming his 4th title of the season, was left stunned by Higgins' resurgence. John was incredible from 8-5. I missed a pink to the middle at 8-7. Apart from that, I didn't do a lot wrong, but my head was spinning. Every mistake I made, John punished me. He stood up like the warrior he is.
Well, we seem to have taken full control of this final. 5-1 down to lead 8-5.
The way he played from 8-5 was incredible, but
point.
you know, that was like brutal from 8-5. I feel like I only missed a
deep into
other than that, like
these vast reservoirs
spinning some of the things that are going
of
on,
experience, and he now
taking
needs
nothing away from John. Like I say, every time he got his chance
barring
today,
snookers for victory.
You know, and I'll put it to him at 8-5, and he stood up like
come down to this moment.
The victory held special significance for Higgins, who described it as his best ever win, surpassing even his 4 World Championship triumphs. Higgins said this in an emotional post-match interview with ITV. "It's my best ever win. Never mind world titles or UK titles."
Well, we seem to have taken full control of this final. 5-1 down to lead 8-5.
Higgins added, "You are playing a monster of a player. To be 5-1 up and to be frozen out to be 8-5 behind, you don't come back and win 5 in a row against Mark Selby normally." Higgins' achievement was made more remarkable by the context of his recent career. Just 12 months earlier, the 49-year-old had been at risk of dropping out of the world's top 16. This victory marked his 2nd ranking title in as many months, following his World Open success against Joe O'Connor in China on March 1st, and propelled him to 3rd in the world rankings. The match also represented a milestone for snooker's fabled Class of '92, with Higgins' victory marking the 100th ranking title won by members of that group, which include Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and Mark Williams. For Selby, the defeat was a bitter pill to swallow after his mid-match dominance. He told ITV4, "That was brutal from 8-5. I feel like I only missed the pink in middle, and other than that, like, oh, just my head was spinning some of the things that were going on."
Well, we seem to have taken full control of this final. 5-1 down to lead 8-5. Higgins tonight couldn't make a 30 break at that point.
The quality of snooker throughout the match was exceptional, with both players registering 4 centuries each. Higgins' 8 centuries across the tournament matched the record for most in a single tour championship event. His victory continued an impressive resurgence in form after what he described as 3 or 4 years of self-doubt. Higgins said, "The emotional significance of the moment became overwhelming when interviewer Rob Walker mentioned Higgins' family in the crowd. The Scot, unable to continue speaking, was embraced by Walker as the interview was cut short. Attention now turns to the World Championship at the Crucible Theater, which begins on April 19th. History suggests Higgins faces a tough challenge. No player has ever won the Tour Championship and World Championship in the same season. The Scot, whose last world title came in 2011, remains realistic about his chances. "The World Championship is a different animal altogether," Higgins said. "I'll relax and enjoy the next couple of weeks before going to Sheffield and giving it my all."
More importantly, can he stay on the black if he does pot it? Maybe looking at the double, or even the treble. Go on, get in. Get in. What a shot. What a shot. But there's your hot shot for the week straight away.
Absolutely. John Higgins has identified Mark Selby as the 2nd most talented player he has faced throughout his illustrious career, placing him only behind Ronnie O'Sullivan in terms of skill and accomplishment. The Scottish snooker legend made these comments ahead of their Tour Championship final clash in Manchester, with the World Championship at the Crucible just 2 weeks away.
Wow, that's incredible, Phil. What a pot that is. That's got to be, Phil, the best long pot of the match from Mark Selby there. that were more straightforward than that one. But what a pot this is, and what a time to produce it. To give himself a great chance of getting right back in this frame.
Well, not only was this an outstanding pot, forced into it, he felt.
He knows his way and knows little moves that normal players wouldn't know, and this looks good. This looks very good. What a shot that is!
Higgins, known as the Wizard of Wishaw, has spent more than 3 decades competing at the highest level of the sport. During this time, he has matched skills with numerous all-time greats, making his assessment of Selby particularly noteworthy. Mark is an incredible competitor and an incredible champion. He's one of the best players who has ever held a cue without a shadow of a doubt, Higgins told ITV before their final showdown. Higgins elaborated on what makes champions like Selby stand out from their peers. These other great champions who are winning multiple events have to have steel in them. They have got to have the whole package. While acknowledging other elite players in the current game, Higgins was clear about where Selby ranks in his estimation. A lot of the top players have got all that. Your Judd Trump, Kieran Wilson coming on the scene. He's an incredible competitor. Without a doubt, he's one of the best I've ever faced. I'd probably put him behind just O'Sullivan. Higgins himself emerged on the professional scene alongside O'Sullivan and Mark Williams, forming what became known as snooker's iconic Class of '92. Despite this shared history with O'Sullivan, Higgins has no doubt that Selby belongs in the conversation about the sport's greatest talents. Former world champion Ken Doherty offered his perspective on both Higgins and Selby, praising their standing in the game. The 1997 Crucible King said, "They are two of the greats of the game, two of the greatest match players that the game has ever seen, and they are both playing really well and scoring well." Doherty highlighted the mental attributes that set both players apart. He said, "They both have the appetite, desire, determination, and tenacity. They are the cleverest players to have ever played the game. I don't know how they will break each other down." Alan McManus, another respected voice in the sport and former Masters champion, emphasized the challenge Selby presents to Higgins. Mark Selby, in the form he's in, is the ultimate test for John. John knows it, McManus stated. McManus pointed to the mental aspect as crucial in their matchup. The physicality of your game is one thing, but it's the 6 inches between your ears that is the most important. He also noted how Higgins' recent tournament victory has boosted his confidence. The fact he came home from China with a trophy of World Open in the cabinet makes all the difference to someone like John. It gives him that belief that the things he's working on are coming to fruition. Jimmy White, the veteran player with more than 4 decades of professional experience, previously singled out Selby as the most formidable opponent he has faced. White said, "Mark is as hard as nails. He's a nice fella. He shakes everyone's hand when he's playing them. He's a total gentleman, but make no mistake, he is ruthless on the snooker table. He's probably the toughest."